Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. This time talking about Smith 2.2, Day of the Moon. I've had a few emails and Twitters about, well, my opinion of Doctor Who. Well, this story, albeit part 1. Some people agree with me and some people don't, and that's absolutely fine. That's how it should be. Like I've always said, you get 1,000 Doctor Who fans in a room, you get 1,000 different opinions. Everyone else, and I mean everyone, seems to be loving, absolutely loving, this 2-part story. Is it just me? Am I completely alone? I just don't get it. I mean, I'm here because I love Doctor Who, right? I've been podcasting for 5 years, I've been talking about it. There's been some good stuff, there's been some bad stuff, there's been Children of Earth. But I still adore Doctor Who. I'd rather watch Doctor Who than anything else on TV. That's taken as read. You probably feel similar to me because, well, you're listening to this. Many of you have been with me since the beginning. Some of you have just joined. And a few of you are working your way methodically through every single podcast ever made and keeping me informed as to your thoughts. And I don't know, that's kind of sweet and a little bit disturbing because I don't know what I said 5 years ago, and I might not even agree with myself these days. I've rambled, which is fine. That's also why I'm here. So, Day of the Moon is part 2 of the season opener, series opener, whatever you want to call it, right? It's set 3 months after the end of the last one, you know, like Moffat likes to do, where he tries to wrong foot you, just like he did at the end of the last season. You know, the Doctor gets sealed in the Pandorica, episode ends, and then when the Pandorica opens, Amy's inside, and you go, oh? Yeah, that kind of thing. He likes doing that. Unfortunately, now that he's used that trick, we're almost expecting it. The jump between part 1 and part 2 apparently takes place 3 months later, except we really, 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 really need to see the immediate aftermath of the events in the cliffhanger. You remember when Doctor Who used to be on years ago, what you'd get is the cliffhanger that was the last minute of the show, and that would be the first minute of the next show, and the narrative would continue straight on. That's actually a cliffhanger, right? This cliffhanger doesn't exist. You don't know how they got out of the warehouse. You don't know what happened immediately to the shot spaceman. It's a non-existent cliffhanger. And this is just the beginning of my feelings about this. If Russell T Davies' Doctor Who was Buffy, this is Angel. Hell, the scene at the very end of the episode, which I'll call the regeneration, for sake of argument, that just felt like one of the ends of seasons from well, Angel. Darla turns up for no reason, or something along those lines, where you just go, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, on the subject of not expecting that, anyone else out there a subscriber to Doctor Who magazine? Now, I know there were a lot of bank holidays around, but I got my issue Saturday morning, with a full and frank review, including discussion of the regeneration scene, in the magazine. Now, luckily, I've got enough self-control to put the magazine down and not read it till Sunday. But if I had read it, now that's spoilers. Spoilers worthy of River Song. Now, getting back, because I will be rambling almost as much as I did last time. The BBC originally had a remake to make Doctor Who educational. Well, here it is. This is an educational story. It has taught many, many children about 5 bar gates. Yes, they can write 4 little marks on themselves and then another one. Now, admittedly, I was of the opinion, and there is logic to this, that the story, well, the overall villain of this series would be the Beast from The Beast Below. Because in the trailer we'd seen the Ood with the new eyes. And we'd seen lots of people with writing on them, which is of course a giveaway. Now I know there was a whole 5-bar gate thing that everyone was talking about. Why you'd write on yourself. Oh, isn't that a bit like Memento? You're writing on yourself because you've forgotten something, and then you remember it. And yes, that is like Memento, except it can't be like Memento because this is a kid's show and I'm 8 and I'm not meant to be watching it and I'm not meant to have seen the film Memento. Or is that just a nod for the adults? Yes, I know Doctor Who is a family show. Family meaning everyone in the whole family can enjoy various aspects. Whether it's too scary or not, I don't know. You see, for years I fought against the whole Mary Whitehouse thing, saying, oh, Doctor Who, not scary, if I'm a child. And now I'm watching it going, great. I've watched it on Sky Plus. It's 11:30 at night. I'm going to watch this now. I'll probably have a nightmare. Brilliant. It wasn't too scary for me when I was a kid. It's too scary for me now that I'm nearly 40. Is that on? I don't know. I just don't know. What's my issues with it? Again, the same as last week. It's the non-sealed narrative. It's as if I almost want to not watch Doctor Who at all until the end of the series and then watch them all back to back. I can't stand the suspense of waiting to find out the answers to the questions, and there's too many questions. Thank God the Doctor turns around and says, well, we could investigate who this child is and what's going on, and obviously discover the whole of the series story arc, but I'm, for one, am up for some random single adventures. Who's for that? And Doctor, count me in. My hands in the air. Take me with you on your single, standalone adventures that don't have cracks appearing on walls or anything of the sort. Just show me an insane mermaid and that'll do me. That'll be fine. I'll be happy. I've got a page full of notes here, and I don't think I've referred to them once. Oh, yeah. Glancing down. The nano recorder built into your hand. Lovely little touch, and as a podcaster, ideal. I'd be able to just stand in the garden. Oh, I've got a couple of minutes. I'll record an extra segment. Click. Click. That's great. I've got issues with the story as a whole. There are, well, not plot holes, but weaknesses in it. I don't get why the silence, and I'll talk about that in a minute, the whole silence thing, yeah. Why one of them just rants about his plans and gets video recorded by the character who shouldn't know how to use a video phone, and I know it says whatever one of those is. Has anyone actually tried to use video recording on their phone? Yeah. I've sat there and pressed lots of buttons and hoped mine would work and eventually discovered it's all a bit blurred and out of focus. The Doctor was installing that transmitter thing into Apollo 11 before he had the footage to put on air. That smacks of the whole Seventh Doctor knowing how things are going to end before the end, how the whole plot works out thing. It's a weakness of the highest order in the plot. What else was he going to put on? Now, the Doctor, who did look a bit McGann-like, the Doctor in his black box of impenetrableness, made of dwarf star alloy, did they just call up Torchwood and go, hello Torchwood, can we borrow some of your dark matter, please? Would like to build some walls? I'm sorry, I promised I wouldn't do any more silly voices. I just can't help myself. It just was weird and wrong. And now, here's a question. Does Nixon now count as a companion because he's apparently travelled in the TARDIS in order to get places and announce stuff? I think we ought to leave that there, hanging in space. Tricky Dicky, in that companion's book with a whole page dedicated to him. Fantastic. There's too many gaps in the narrative for my like. They're not holes, they're just gaps. It's very New Adventures Doctor Who. The Silents really are a New Adventure Doctor Who monster, and that's not a problem. Again, extra questions are brought up. The woman on the panel on the door saying she's only dreaming. Was it Glynis Barber with an metal eye patch? I mean, that's lovely. That just probably means she'll have a flashback. Does that mean that that sequence wasn't real? These are all questions that I'm sure we'll find the answer to out now, but I just can't wait. I just want to know. Just tell me. It's not a problem. Ah, right. Amy's child. Is it being implied that Amy's child was the one in the suit who kills the Doctor? Because logically I'm still leaning towards the current Doctor being the one in the suit who shoots the future Doctor, because he wasn't there on the beach. And being in the suit might protect him. An empty suit makes sense, except of course the Doctor said, I know who's in there. The empty suit may also make sense narratively wise because of the silence. Again, I'm coming back to those in a moment. But it's another question we need answered. I'm not bothered about River Song, where she's going to get a sonic screwdriver from. Even the kiss at the end doesn't really bother me the last time they ever kiss. I'm quite happy if they don't kiss again. The thing that threw me, of course, was the whole Amy's pregnancy thing. I thought I was pregnant and then I wasn't. All of that takes place in the gap. The gap of the missing cliffhanger. The TARDIS can't even decide when the Doctor brings it up on the scanner. She's pregnant, she's not. She's pregnant, she's not. It's a Y in time, two separate time streams, which again leads you to believe that the child who regenerates at the end is Amy's child. But that child would just be a year old. It would have to have been dumped in a different time stream earlier, or stolen. It isn't quite working. There's more to learn. Oh, I'd like to, at this point, coin the phrase Schrodinger's pregnancy. That's Schrodinger's pregnancy, a pregnancy that may or may not exist simultaneously, like when you're waiting for the results to come through. Or is that Heisenberg's uncertainty pregnancy? I'm sure we can all ask some physicists about that one. James, any idea? Crashing on. Can I just talk for a minute about the silence? I'm not completely convinced, and I'm more than willing to be wrong, that these creatures aren't the villains they're made out to be. They try and communicate with Amy. All right, they kill Joy. Kill Joy? What a terrible pun. But they kill her just to demonstrate their power. But does that not just mean they've been hanging around with Americans too much? No. They try and communicate with Amy. And they say that the Doctor needs to be told something, and we're led to believe it's the pregnancy, but perhaps it's about his death. Oh no, that's what we were meant to think. Oh dear, it's so confusing. But it's not confusing. You see, silence will fall implies that they were a good thing. More like the Roman Empire. What did the Roman Empire ever give us? What did the silence ever give us? That, say, Scorath of Jaggeroth hadn't already given us. Or a host of other interfering aliens. The silence wanted a spacesuit to protect the child so that the child could operate the time machine because they couldn't, and they weren't strong enough because they're parasites and puppets. They want someone who can see them. That could be what the child is. Which is why the spacesuit was reinforced and meant to keep the child alive, because, as we know, the Lodger TARDIS kills people because nobody's strong enough. I'm joining things together that perhaps shouldn't be joined together, that perhaps need to be discussed much later on. It's genuinely not important. So I still love Doctor Who. Just this story isn't in my top 10, but perhaps it will be later, when I've seen them all, and when I can embrace it wholeheartedly. I know many of you were expecting the Auton review, but as I'm the sort of person who tries and pushes technology just a little bit further than it should, I put a 16 gig HC SD card into my Zoom recorder. Unfortunately, I'd bought it off eBay, it was pants, and the files got corrupted. 50 minutes worth of recording and reviewing, gone. So there will be a review of the Auton DVDs very shortly, just not quite yet. Sorry about that. And now for the first time in a long time, a Whostrology. Anton Leon Anderson, born on the 25th of July 1970, in the time of the third Doctor. You were born between seasons 7 and 8, between Inferno and Terror of the Autons, and on the anniversary of the showing of Sensorites, Part 5. You share your birthday with Cyril Luckham and William Marlowe. Your Whostrology. Beware a man with a beard. A fascist werewolf could distract you from the tasks at hand, so try to keep one eye on how things could have been and the other eye on how things really are. Killer daffodils are not a warning about visiting Wales too much. A circus may come to town with criminal intent. Who would have thought your mind was as open to fear as it is now? Darkness and loud noises will fill your senses, so stay close to your family group. If you must lie today, it is a good idea to get your facts straight. Remember, if you'd like your own housetrology, please click on the link on the website.
Urgent subspace communication incoming.
Just a quick note to say that I'm selling one of my most prized possessions, a handmade solid silver police box pendant. There was only ever a handful of these made, and I'm selling this one with some regret. If you'd like to see this or indeed buy it, then please visit the Tin Dog website at www.tin-dog.co.uk and click on the banner on the right hand side. Remember that you can also buy a housetrology, as well as donate to help keep the Tin Dog podcast running. Thanks for listening. Be seeing you.
The other mind has now left the Matrix.
And with that, I'll bid you all farewell. Be seeing you. You have been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Contact us at tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk.